Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Unvarnished. I am Chris Hyde, and that is my co-host, Darren Painter. Darren, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Chris, but I'm not about to go on vacation like some people here. I feel like that's you.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. It is with my family, so call that a vacation if you'd like.
Oh, we do. And your family is lovely, and it's going to be a great time. But we got something to take care of before you leave, I think.
What do we got?
We have a very fun conversation with Rusty Pepper. Rusty, wave to the camera. All of your adoring fans are here. Rusty's awesome. Rusty is the print-on-demand strategist for Taylor. Everyone knows Taylor, but they are a $2.5 billion, I think, visual communications company now. Provides a wide set of on-demand products and services and technologies for the world's leading brands. You might have seen Rusty, and he used to run a couple of very successful podcasts. One of them was the Why Marketing podcast, which we might talk about a little bit later. Great person who interviews other people also very well. He can connect with CMOs, marketers, salespeople, business strategists. He can talk all of those talks. So we're happy to have him, Rusty. Very much. Thank you very much for coming.
I appreciate it. Now you got the pressure put on me. I've got it down to deliver. It's like, okay, let's do this. So I appreciate it.
Oh, no, you've never watched an episode with me and Chris. You don't. It's a very low bar that we're setting here, Rusty.
Oh,
right,
I
Chris?
know that's not true.
I want to talk to you about. We want to talk about a few things. My first question, though, is about print on demand. If you were to zoom out and just think about print on demand, just as a thing, you're a strategist, but you also seem like an enthusiast. Like you really do love this stuff. Can you talk about that first? Like your sort of a personal appreciation for this thing, POD.
Yeah, well, I didn't come from the print industry. I started off, I came from the world of the agency and promotions world, right? So I don't have that traditional print pedigree with ink under my fingernails or a real strong understanding of the equipment. But what I do understand is that brand positioning, the strategy, and the innovation that comes when you look at, what print on demand is doing and how it's transforming an industry like print, because it is the future. It's here. And, when I came over to Taylor, when I looked at all the different things that we had and all the resources we had, really that we could tap into, it was incredible. And it was a fast learning curve. And it was something that we got behind because, look, it is the future. It is the way that all these, the printers, folks that are supporting it, they're transitioning very, very rapidly to be able to support, print on demand. And when I look at the enterprise side of the business, it is massive. The opportunities that we all have to be able to go support that as corporations really embrace what print on demand is going to do. How can you not be excited about it? I mean, I know it sounds kind of like geeked out about, but it's fun. I'm finally in a business where literally everybody needs each other just as much as you need them, right? And that's a good position to be in. And it's a real collaborative industry too, which has been fun.
Yeah, we're big fans of POD too. I mean, it drives HP technology. It drives a lot of business growth right now. And business growth is something that you seem to have been around for a while. You mentioned even in different industries. I'm curious in your opinion, when you think about print on demand and the print industry as it is now, do you think it's still an underrated element of the print world?
It's a good question. I think there's the old guard, right? That still is. Some of them are reluctant to make a change, right? It's the way it's always been. This we're going to work, and we're going to see it through the end. Well, they're about to get passed over because the industry's there's some challenges, right? You got people that are aging out that have a lot of that true understanding of the ins and outs of print, and that as that changes, they're being replaced by folks that didn't grow up in print, and they're looking at things they want it. They want it now. They want hyper-personalization. They want brand standards. It's really more of a tech play versus having all the traditional print elements that are required. And so there's kind of also a blending of those two cultures that are coming together. And it's I guess to answer your question, I don't think it's I just don't think that everybody is fully embracing it because they haven't experienced the pain that is about to come because of what is happening in the market.
Right. I just wonder if it could, maybe part of the question was, is the value and the power of POD ever lost now on a marketer? Marketing teams now it's so expansive, right? There's a million things that they can do, that they can spend money on, that they have to learn. Which new social media thing should they be on now again? Except, that kind of thought. Is POD even more of an opportunity now for those people than it ever has been? At the same time where the whole like massive marketing seems to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you look at POD, I think a lot of folks just think of print on demand as, oh, it's like the stuff that you could buy on consumers, your greeting cards or a T-shirt. I was on a call earlier today where they're talking about mail on demand. That's a channel of print on demand. It's all on demand. And if you look at programmatic direct mail, that's print on demand. That's been going. Marketers need and require that because you have omni-channel. You've got to be able to hit all those different segments where your consumers are. And that's what, the technology, the ability to come in and help organizations better understand how they can manage their supply chain. They can buy their print. You don't have to do massive print, hold, and ship. You can start to wind that down and geo route into where those locations where that product's going to be delivered. You're going to save money, time, and energy, and it's more sustainable. So I think marketers are starting to really wake up to it. I don't think there has been a true voice yet that's really an education in the market because they're just now starting to really embrace it because you look at COVID, it started in COVID. The last, print on demand is not new. It's been around for over a decade, but the last 5 years, perfect storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had digital print technologies became easier. You can get print faster. It was cheaper. You had e-commerce. People wanted to be able to all the different ways they can do it, hyper personalized. And then you had the Amazon thing. I need it now. Order take. And now they're looking at all that saying, wow, we can actually get everything that we need because whenever we want working from home, businesses had to shift. And it really kind of gave them the opportunity to start to have to leverage a little bit of that. They didn't go all the way, but they got a bite of it and they got to experience it because they had to. Their businesses pivoted. How they were communicating with their employees was changing constantly. And
Got you.
how they're managing their customers. And that's not going away. If anything, it's now starting to really grow it. The roots have been established and now we're going forward with it. And that's really the fun part of where I see the industry heading.
You are the print on demand strategist for Taylor. What do you do? What do you do? How do you spend that? How do you spend your day? That could probably go in many different ways, but what does a typical day look like for Rusty at Taylor?
For us, I really focus in on our partners, right? So we cover partners across the board. So we're backend print fulfillment. So we don't sell to the end customer. We work across all the different ways that companies are using or resellers are using it. So you have marketplaces, platforms, resellers. Anybody who's got that end relationship, those are our partners. And so I work with them. I identify opportunities and trends in the market, and we're bringing it to them. We're educating them. I look at right now like the promotional product space, huge green space for us to come in as an industry and really transform the way those companies in that industry is leveraging printed products. And that's promotional products. You got printed products, anything that can be produced on demand. That industry they're hungry for it and they need it. And so that's how I spend my time, identifying opportunities out there in the market and bringing it out there and then kind of evangelizing what we have at Taylor on Demand.
Can I even just step back? Just one big step. Like, how do you define what print on demand is?
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually just did a survey in the industry on LinkedIn about that, and we had 160 respondents that responded from about half and half between the U.S. and Europe. And my question to the industry was: is it web to print? Is it print on demand? What is because there's kind of a divide between how are people calling it. So part of that was how do you define it, and we'll get to that. But I think really what you have to say is how do we call it? What is it? Is it web to print? And what does web to print mean? Or versus print on demand? I look at print on demand as anything that can be produced, manufactured on demand. No inventory. It is hyper personalized and it's delivered exactly how and when the customer needs it. And so that's how I look at it. And that's also a decorate on demand. So if you have apparel, that's the same way. But you should really be looking at is the on demand industry, right? So anything that's being able to be done on demand, however a customer wants it. That's how I define it. And the industry with print on demand as well. Sorry, but the end result was like almost 80% of the industry came back as print on demand was the most popular term. That's how they use it. So what the print they said was an old fashioned, legacy term, or really more for the software versus print on demand, which is really just kind of taken over the branding for really how people are using it from both sides of it.
How much do you think of the print world is print on demand? Any idea? Like spitballing?
I don't.
No idea.
So I think everybody looks at print on demand has to be digital. Well, why? Why does it have to be digital? Could it not be offset because it's actually produced on demand? Because you may have an opportunity, a program where somebody's actually printing product, right? And it's set up as an on demand. But then all of a sudden, they've got an opportunity that they need that exact same product, but they need 100,000 pieces of it versus maybe 1,000. But it's better to run that on offset. So if you can shift that, and you've got that in your supply chain, that's still print on demand. It's just a different way that you're receiving and managing that to get set up. So there's still going to be some back office work required, but I think you're going to start. That's where I look at and say, as the offset world and the traditional print comes down in volume and digital goes up, you're still going to need to have that balance because not everything can go it doesn't make financial sense to run everything digital. You have to have a balance between the two. And that's where having, I think, a partner. And that, again, I'm not going to promote Taylor, but I think that's where someone like a Taylor, who's got that diversity across our facilities and our supply chain, really adds value because we can deliver on both sides. And that's really what we're looking at and figuring out internally is how does that work for the work? And how do you manage those expectations?
How does it change the way you strategize with customers with no inventory now? And with the knowledge that, oh, we do have a spike in activity and we need this now. Like, how do you like forecast and how do you prepare for companies to think differently about that?
It's education, right? And it's also learning. I mean, nobody has the one thing is nobody has all the answers yet on print on demand. We're figuring it out just like everybody else is figuring it out as this industry evolves. It's an ecosystem that just keeps evolving. And, what we do say is that we do know that there are reports out there that show that if the traditional way of print and bulk, store in a warehouse, order and print isn't working. Almost 50% of those items that are stored there and never see the light of day. Yeah, you got a great price on it, but you're also paying a fulfillment cost, a pick cost. You're paying all these fees. Oh, and by the way, you're paying to destroy a big chunk of it. So when you start to look at, well, how do you produce it as you need it, make the changes you want? You've got zero liabilities. Yeah, you're going to be paying a little bit more for the actual pieces, but they're going to see the light of day because you're moving it into the market where they're needed, and they're going to hit the market with the messaging that it's needed. Marketers respond really well to that. It's getting the procurement, I believe, the procurement team really to embrace that because they're sitting there, well, you're going to be shipping more and more and more. I'm like, well, you're shipping from a warehouse anyways. Here, you're just basically you're shipping what you need when you need it in market. And that's way cheaper because there's a lot of different ways to reduce those costs. And we've worked with some partners who have some amazing technology and innovation in that because they're sending orders, configuring it with the customer at the location, placing the order while they're there. They hit the facilities, and within 4 days, that customer has that product in their hand. From order to receive, it's 4 days. I mean, it's massive. And it's not like it's going overnight. It's ground because they're geo-routing those orders to the closest facilities that can produce those items to where the market needs it. And that's how you're educating it. And that's what we need more of. And that's why having these conversations are really, really important.
How much has it changed the internal discussion and also the process? Because 4 days for some of these things 10 years ago was probably insane to even think that way, right?
4 days a day is hard. I mean, it's you have to be prepared, and so you have to standardize. And that's not like it's like open. You're like, oh, you can select anything. You have to standardize the items, right? The sizes, the stock. There's things that have to go into it. If you want that 4 day turnaround, there's limitations, right? Because it's still early, but you can do it, and it's not hard if you when you get it boiled down to what's efficient and what the market needs. Now, if you open it up to lots of substrates and all that, then you have a supply chain challenge. But moving it and getting it set up, the technology takes care of a lot of that. Then you route it, and then you have the facility behind it that can support it. It works, and that's the key. Now, when you start looking at order consolidation, that's a challenge, right? Because what you want to try to do too to be better sustainability and drive carbon emissions for a lot of folks is they're trying to figure out how do you consolidate order volume, right? So if somebody orders 5 items, you don't want 5 shipments going out. You want ideally 1, but that's really hard to do, especially when you look at cross products. So you have a printed piece with a promotional piece and something else, right? That's hard to do. But you try to consolidate as much as you can out of these different regional facilities or hubs, and then support it with other facilities that are more in market that are more specialists. So that's kind of how we're solving the problem now, but there's still a lot more work to do.
You mentioned the promo products industry. That's really interesting to me because I can't think of a better sort of tangential world where POD would matter. And they're the same consumer, the same person who's buying those, 1,000 customized stress balls for their bank's opening is the same person that's buying print POD. Do you sense that there's a crossover and an opportunity for printers to get into promo?
Massive. Well, you saw, I don't know if you noticed that ASI acquired Printing United Alliance, right? So they've come together. They recognize that. That's a huge shift. I mean, if you look at most organizations, if you look at the org chart, print and promo buyer is pretty much, you nailed it, it's pretty much the same person. So how do you make it easier for them to do their job and to succeed, right? And if you're able to do print on demand on print, well, usually those guys follow suit when it comes to promo as well. Promo is a little bit more challenged because it's a very fragmented industry, and you have a lot of redundancy in that. The good thing is you have a lot of product, a lot of options. The bad thing is it was set up for MOQ, so they're built for quantity, not really on demand. And they don't like that POD part of that space. We love it because that's how we were built. And that's why we look at that market as a lot of opportunity. But you're seeing more and more suppliers adjusting the way that they're managing it because they recognize that is the future and they've got to do it. And there's some incredible organizations, like suppliers in that industry that are doing really, really well in that. But you don't get every product, but it is, to me, the single biggest opportunity out there. Because if they're buying print, promo, they need print too.
Right. And promo can be ordered online on the same systems, or is it different? Are they sort of these ASI approved technologies, or are there some players that are combining those two?
Yeah, so there's a lot of innovation when you look at the company store technology. When you look at promo, let's just sit back and look at promo. So why I like promo is they sell directly to businesses, right? That's what they're set up for. The distributor, they sell to, a business. So they've got that enterprise relationship, which is the biggest segment of the market that we all want. The B2C side of it, POD, is like $30 billion. Enterprise, $300 billion, 10x. So they've got the line directly to those buyers. So we want to tap into that with print. And when you look at promo, there are some great company store technologies that are making it easier for those distributors that are selling to those end customers to be able to set up company stores on demand and also integrate print. And that's where we're spending a lot of our time and energy, is working with them to basically provide them, hey, y'all handle the promo. We got some as well, but y'all handle that part. We're going to supercharge you with thousands and thousands of different printed products that are set up for business already, and make it easy for them. And that's to me that's an exciting opportunity, and they're fun to work with too, because they play with tchotchkes all day. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you get to see the trends. You're talking to aggregators. You're talking to big purveyors of print. What trends are that you seeing through them right now?
Well, I do see the combination of doing more out of just print, right? So it's out what other products are coming out, and how are you consolidating that down, looking at the market. When your question, was it more around the trends of product, or was it trends around the business operation? Sorry, I didn't.
No, trends in, and I guess demand for print on demand. Like what are you seeing? Is there changes, or is it things that are surprising in the marketplace right now?
Yeah. Okay, I got you. So when I look at it and where we're seeing it, so the last up until this year, we almost didn't see any RFPs that came in. Actually, we really didn't see much because we were really on the B2C. We were kind of at the B2C, we had our hands full there. Now we're starting to see, we're really making that push in the enterprise, but we're seeing RFPs, large RFPs that are coming in on the print side of the business that are requesting print on demand solutions. And there's been three so far just in the last few months that we've seen. There's way more than that. And that's a huge opportunity. And that to me was the one thing that was surprising is where we're starting now to see the RFPs positioning print on demand as almost a must have and a priority because that's where they want to move to. They want to get rid of that print, hold, and ship warehousing model and say, let's go on demand because they're doing it in their personal life. Why are they not doing it on the professional side? And that to me is the single biggest trend that I've seen that gets me really excited.
Are those net new customers, or are these people that you've educated?
No, they're net new. I mean, they're getting educated either through content or whatnot, but they're coming in. I mean, the young buyers, they're savvy. I mean, they may not know print, the ins and outs of print, but they know technology. They know that they can get, they can order it on their mobile devices and they can hyper personalize it and get it delivered. That's what they really care about. And that's what they're trying to figure out. They don't want to go visit a warehouse facility and look at their inventory. That's not what they want. They don't even want to come see you, right? They want everything online. And it's kind of hard for, someone like me that's been in business for, selling for 30 years. Because I remember the day I used to have a map skill when I drive around, and call people and try to figure, open the map and try to figure out what city I was in. Now it's all online. You don't even do phone calls with them. You do Zoom calls. You don't go see them in person. You do this. And what's great is it facilitates, moves things quicker, but you lose a little bit of that personalization of like that relationship. But at the end of the day, they move quick. They make quick decisions. You don't see these really long, extended RFPs. They're consolidating. And that you get to quick yeses and quick nos a lot better that way.
Could that be considered a trend, right, in and of itself, that the buyers are getting younger?
Oh, absolutely. They have to. I mean, we're aging everybody out. Dscoop a couple of years ago, that was one of the conversation. One of the things that people were talking about was the aging out of the industry. How do we get younger people into the print? Right, that was a big focus for it, and that to me is a perfect example of why it's really important to get younger people on our side so that they can go communicate with folks that are in their same age range because they can communicate the same way better than you or me or someone else our age can.
Yep, it's exciting to have them in our industry. We're talking to quite a few of them last month and this month for different Dscoop articles, and trying to build up an academia program for some of those younger professionals. I do find that type of buyer, that age buyer, has a high expectation that everything will be perfect, right? That person has been on their phones for most of their life and never have lived in a world where if Amazon Prime doesn't say it's going to be 8:00 tonight, I might get it tonight. I might get it tomorrow. Of course, it's going to be correct. And it alludes me to one thing you mentioned before was you talked about shipping and fulfillment. Getting something out in 4 days is really impressive and difficult sometimes and noticeable to brands. That means that you have to have shipping and fulfillment that is in line with the strategy and such, and can kind of derail a lot of great POD projects at that point. Can you talk about the importance of that side? Something that it doesn't get any less sexy, maybe, right, than the shipping and fulfillment part of this POD conversation. But can you talk about the importance of it?
Yeah, I mean, shipping is killing all of us right now. It's just call that out. I mean, shipping is hard. There's more, it's getting more expensive. It's harder. There's not a lot of capacity, and they're constantly changing things. But the fulfillment and delivering things on the, it's that perfect client experience, right? That's what you always want to achieve. And then you're right. You nailed it when you said the buyers, they don't really have the patience for when things go wrong because they're so used to getting it when they want it and how they want it because they're on their phones, they place the order, and it's delivered. And that's a testament to what the B2C side of this business has done. But when you start talking about enterprise and you've got brand control, brand management assets, all those things that need to also be taken into control, that adds one more step, right? Because you got to actually color match everything like that. You got to make sure the blades are right. There's things that have to get done. And especially when you're routing to multiple facilities, you got to make sure they're also set up the same way, same equipment or similar equipment, that they can actually hit those same consistencies and standards. Because if not, you're going to hear about it. And it's not the same conversations we used to have. It's a firestorm at times. And nobody's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. But we're solving a lot of challenges while at the same time building and figuring it out. But yeah, you're right. There's the other side of that is that they have that higher expectation that things are going to be perfect and always, in just a couple of days. And that's not a reality, especially as you start adding like promotional product and other items, three-dimensional items that aren't your just a business card or print substrate. There's, if you have framing and other things that you need to do or trade show displays, and those just take time. So it's the education, and it's going to continue. We're a long way from where we need to be as an industry. But again, I go back to how do we start having these conversations? How do we start explaining how it works and operates? Because I think in people's mind, they think of the Amazon effect. Oh, I can just order it. It's print on demand. It's going to come, right? It's going to be here like in a couple of days. It's not reality, but it will. It's on. It's there.
Awesome. Any final questions, Darren?
No, I don't think so. It's been really fun talking to you, Rusty, and trying to pick your POD brain. I know this is a passion of yours, and growing business at Taylor is too. And congratulations on your success for those things.
I do have one question. Two more questions. These are not POD related.
About the poster behind him?
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe there's three questions.
So, Saturday afternoon, no responsibilities.
Ooh.
3 hours open to you. Bike ride or movie?
Depends on the time of year, right? Because Texas in the summertime, or I live in Austin, Texas, so going on a bike ride in the summertime at 3 hours for an afternoon, not going to happen. It'll be a movie or Longhorn football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hook 'em horns.
Okay. So after that, after the hook 'em horns, after the bike ride, or after the movie, must have one choice for food. What is it? One chance.
Fajitas.
Ooh. I figured you were going to say, have you seen the barbecue in Austin? Jeez. But fajitas sounds delicious right now.
I eat a lot of barbecue. So a good fajita, it's really hard. It's really hard to say no, especially with some good guacamole, some chips, cold beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Rusty, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you have a little time right now to go make a fajita. And Darren, thank you.
I enjoy it. Thanks, guys. Fun.
Sure thing. See you guys.